Hello again. I thought I would leave a slightly more cheerful message. While I think everything that I said previously had importance and I'm keeping it in, I just wanted to leave a message that's a little lighter, a little less about brass tacks, and a little bit more anecdotal. So, one of my previous jobs had a very entertaining boss, mostly because he was so old school that it was remarkable. I worked there in 2023, and at the time, I was a legal assistant, and it was a small firm that consisted of one attorney. And when I explained the job, my family member jokingly responded, "Oh, he practices in the door law." You know, if you're in the door, he practices that type of law, meaning all of it. If your cash spins, you know what I mean? So, it's it's tough to be an expert at everything, like all types of law. But that's what he would attempt. And he would also have very funny habits that were very unprofessional. For instance, he struggled with there was a paralegal that was more educated than me. I was a legal assistant. She was a paralegal. She could file documents with the court. She could do things that were more complicated than what I had been trained to do. And he just refused to learn how to pronounce her name correctly. And he would call her Hot Lips. Yeah. And he would call me Baby because he couldn't remember Tucker. But he was an attorney. But he couldn't remember. Okay, cognitive dissonance is fine. But he would have people pay him occasionally in boiled peanuts, which I'm sixth generation Floridian. Like, I like boiled peanuts like the next girl. I do. I went to summer camp, bought a whole bunch, ate them till I got sick. But he would eat them in front of clients. And if you do like boiled peanuts, you recognize that there's no way to eat them like with elegance. You just kind of use your hands, and it's a messy snack. So there was that. He would also eat peanut butter out of the jar in front of clients. And without like talking about his clients too much, or like specific cases or anything that I had anything to do with directly, because I think all of that would be inappropriate and legally murky. But I'm just going to stick to like describing him as a boss and him as an attorney. He just reminded me of one of those John Grisham judges that like smokes a cigar. I guess not smokes, but like chews on a cigar that's never lit. Um, he just kind of melted into his chair, and he was also missing what I consider to be crucial teeth, like the front ones. And I just feel like if you're being represented in court, like you don't want to worry about your case and whether your attorney can eat corn on the cob all by themselves. And yet business was booming. I literally left because I thought that he was seconds away from a lawsuit. Like, he just had no boundaries with people and would say the most egregious things, regardless of whether you were a fellow attorney or you were a client or you were an employee. I mean, it was stunning. Why did I work for someone like that? We've been talking about the job market for a little bit now. And also, I was 41 at the time. And so it didn't break my heart to be called baby. It was overfamiliar, inappropriate, and annoying, but it wasn't something that was a hill I was ready to die on. Had I been 27 at the time, there would have been much hair flipping and much, "Ah, do you know who I am? There's no way you can get away with that." Not because I'm anybody, but because, like, I just was very confident and believed in standing up for yourself. And I still believe in that, but this just was not the situation in which I was gonna um I just didn't care enough. Like, it didn't cross a moral boundary for me. It just was like a sign of where he came from and what he was used to, you know. He didn't slap me on the ass. I've had restaurant owners do that, and the tips aren't worth it. The pay isn't worth it. So, don't be a creepy boss, one. Um, and two, pick one. Like, fix your teeth or eat boiled peanuts in front of clients. Like, don't do both. I don't know. Who am I, right? I don't have a job, and he has a job and owns property. Because having money makes you important or something. It definitely makes you like more insulated from like suffering, but it's an interesting dynamic for people like that to not only hold a position of authority in the law, but be able to vote. Yeah. So, anyway, that's one of my stories of working for different employers. There's so many restaurant stories. I have such wonderful memories of working in restaurants, but there were definitely moments of um, people just being terrible just because they can get away with it. And that always is very telling. Like, it's a, it's almost passe, or it's almost like such a stereotype or such a red flag now if someone's mean to the wait staff, because it is so indicative of how somebody views themselves and people that like assist them, which is what anybody that helps you for payment is doing. They're assisting you. They're helping you because you need help. So, like, be a little bit humble about that. Okay, you're super busy because you're so important. You can still know the person's name, you know? I'm starting out asking for a job, but I'm also like, if I don't get to have a job and I get somebody that is in charge of other people, if I'm in front of them, like, don't be a jerk. I was just at, yeah, I'm gonna just say it. I was at Jiffy Lube like a month or two ago, and the manager interrupted like the lady who was helping me, and while she was like literally upselling me the windshield wipers and the better filter and different things that I agreed that I needed, um he wanted to correct her about something and let her know that it was unacceptable in front of me. And so I just took that opportunity to remind him that that wasn't really an appropriate way to use client facing time. Um, that if he wanted to humiliate her, um, that he should at least have the decency to do it in private and not in front of a customer. Um, and I don't know what it is when people are in charge of other people, but it's not necessary. And you can have dignity and work with others that have different skills. Um, One of my most meaningful jobs that I ever had was when I was bartending at one beer pub, and one of my fellow bartenders was extremely smart. And I asked them why they didn't become a professor because they had the credentials and aptitude and spirit for it. And they said that they felt like modeling behavior behind the bar for people, and he gave specific instances, but that was just as meaningful as teaching from a podium. That it was a different way of sharing, and it was one in which it wasn't gate kept. There was no ivory tower. Um, and I worked for someone that owned the bar that really respected the people that worked for them. And nothing will make you work harder than feeling like you're actually valued. But I don't mean pizza parties. Like, enough with the pizza parties. It's so annoying and cheap and like temporary. It's such a temporary, just throwaway gesture. Like, if you want to make employees' lives better, give them raises. Stop with this gluttony with the CEOs and value them in a way that's long term, and you'll get long term back. It's crazy to me that we've decided a cheaper workforce is better than having neighbors that can feed their families. But